welcome into First Take on this Feel Good Friday. I am here with two Scrooges. One is to my left. His name's Max Kellerman.
Been in a bad mood this morning.
You are. You're cranky. Yeah. We'll get into why. The other one is to my right, virtually, Stephen A. Smith. Hopefully Donovan McNabb will be in good holiday spirits. Good morning, Donovan.
Good morning, everyone, and I definitely am. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last guy I wanted to see this morning.
Yeah.
What you smiling about, Donovan? I mean, what you smiling about, Donovan? What you cheesed it for? I mean, what's that about? You don't play for the Eagles no more. I mean, what's your issue?
I mean, I'm retired there. The numbers in the rafters. You've seen my numbers. You know, Google me if you don't know who I am at this particular point.
He meant Google me.
That's right.
Sir.
Google me, baby. Google me.
Oh, bringing it. Can we do this? Let's do this.
Well, go ahead, Molly. Nobody's stopping you.
Okay,
Captain
sweetie.
of the ship,
Okay.
Molly Wood.
It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Then this happened last night in Philly. Eli Manning threw the ball 63 times. No active quarterback has ever won a game when throwing more than 60 passes. New York went 1 for 5 in the red zone. Eli threw 3 picks. The G-men had the chance to clinch a playoff berth. Instead, the Cowboys clinched home field and a bye. Eli has the most turnovers in the league since 2012 with 101 turnovers, followed by Philip Rivers and Drew Brees. Max Kellerman,
Yeah.
are you concerned about the former Mr. Fourth Quarter?
No, not at all. And by the way, he throws picks because he's not worried about losing. Eli's not scared, so he throws some picks. And this is, first of all, let me just say, before we rush past this, remember yesterday when I told everybody, when I told everybody that Lane Johnson coming back is a problem for the Giants? He's the tipping point for the Eagles because then they'll be able to run the ball.
Max
and that'll
was
set up the
right.
pass, and that gets the defense off the field and all those things. Remember when I said how tough the Eagles play the Giants? And I said that this is I hate this game for the Giants, and I was roundly mocked on this show. Does everyone remember that?
Yeah.
And then Lane Johnson blocks for the run all the way down the field, and they score that first touchdown of the game, and they wind up winning by 1 score. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Good?
Yeah.
Props,
you won.
Thank you. Thank
props
you
to
very much.
Max.
I know Stephen A. won't give me any props, but at least Molly will.
Lane Johnson haunting me because of you now.
Now, let's get to Eli in the game. Here's the problem. The Eagles didn't have to blitz. They could drop everyone into coverage because you don't have to blitz the Giants because they don't have an offensive line. And what that means is there's better pass protection for teams who do that, and Giants still can't run the ball anyway. And when you can't run the ball, you can take the ball down the field, but then in the red zone, you don't score touchdowns, you kick field goals. The Eagles exploited this in the Giants. It will be an ongoing problem in the playoffs, particularly when they didn't have Janoris Jenkins yesterday, so the secondary was not quite what it had been in the past. The Giants are a flawed team. The O-line is a problem. The running game is a problem. That's why Eli had to throw so much, obviously. However, the Giants are a live dog in these playoffs coming up, assuming they get in, which is still not guaranteed, but very likely. They've beaten the Cowboys twice, on the road and at home. We all know that in recent years they match up very well with the Patriots, should it come to that. The Giants are a live dog in these playoffs, and I'm not worried about Eli Manning one bit.
Well, first of all, let me address Prophet Kellerman here because he wants so much credit. He was talking about he was worried about the Eagles because of Lane Johnson. He never said we were worried about the Eagles because of Eli Manning. I mean, far be it for me to forget the fact that this dude is an interception waiting to happen from time to time during the regular season. How the hell am I supposed to assume that he's going to throw a pick six? How the hell am I supposed to assume that he's going to throw Odell Beckham Jr. on at least 3 occasions, including that last drive where it was a touchdown right there for Odell Beckham Jr. and he overthrew him before throwing the damn interception.
I'm going to take my ball and go home right now.
And so when I look at it from that perspective, listen, I don't really have much to say. Give Max Kellerman his due. It's a rare moment. He started July 25th. This is the first day it happens right before Christmas. Christmas has arrived. Congratulations. You want a cookie? It's yours.
Wrap it up
you thought that the
want.
Giants would even though you picked the Giants to win and they lost, you said it was going to be, but you weren't worried. I'll give you credit because you were right to be worried. So be it. What you need to be concerned about now is the fact that Eli Manning shows that he can end up being the Achilles heel for this team. This is not the same Eli from 5 years ago. This is not the same Eli from 2007. It is quite possible, if not likely, that Eli Manning just may not be what he used to be, and that in and of itself spells trouble for the New York Giants more so than anything else. Prophet Kellerman.
Well, let me chime in on that as well. When I look at Eli Manning, the thing that I go back to while I played against Eli was I know that he would turn the ball over. But what you have to do as a defense, you have to catch the football. Now, Eli Manning's a guy who's going to take chances, a la Tony Romo, same type of quarterback. In the fourth quarter, you know you're just going to have to give him a chance, but you have to take full advantage of it. When I watch this game, I don't blame the offensive line. I blame the decision-making of Eli Manning and also Coach McAdoo. What I've seen from the offense, they were able to run the football in this particular game, but they abandoned the run and went to the pass. And when you do that and throw 63 passes, yeah, your quarterback's going to turn the football over. I understand. In third and fourth down in that last quarter, he was going to go to Odell Beckham. Not only did I know that, but also the Philadelphia Eagles knew that. So what did they do? They doubled and triple teamed him and forced him to go somewhere else. Go to Shepard, which I think Shepard is a guy that deserves a little bit more credit than they give him, and try to force the ball elsewhere. Then you go to Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz catches the ball and falls down. Now, as a receiver, it's about yards after catch. I need you to catch the ball and pick up many yards. Don't fall down. The offensive line did a fairly decent job. Now, Eli Manning is a guy, every year he throws double digits interceptions. You know that, Max, just like all the Giants fans know that. But what you're hoping for, just like everybody else that wears the blue and red underwear with the Giants written on the side,
how did you know?
You have to understand that if you get late in situations like this, Eli is not going to win the game for you. This isn't the playoffs and this isn't the Super Bowl. Yeah, we keep harping on his 2 Super Bowl wins.
MVPs.
But you have to be able to be successful in the regular season to get there. We can continue to ride the defense until we get in the playoffs and then you play well in the playoffs. But if you don't win in the regular season and play well, you're not going to get there.
Donovan, if Eli lets you borrow one of his Super Bowl rings just for like a day or something, would that make it a little bit better?
Wow.
Hating on
Why
my guy.
are you being disrespectful?
Once again, Max. No, it's okay, Stephen A. Once again, Max. Google me if you need to know more about what I do in the regular season and also the playoffs. We can talk about 2 years that he had throughout his career, but when you throw double-digit interceptions each and every year.
Donovan?
Hey,
Justin Tuck had a bad hammy. That's why you got away that day.
Bad hammy, bad neck, bad shoulder. I don't care.
Close.
Hey. I was able to slither through not only Justin Tuck, but everybody else. Google me, Max.
Listen, Eli throws interceptions, you're right. Because he's not scared, and sometimes he will turn the ball over. That is true. He did it yesterday, and he missed Odell in the end zone, which should have won. And by the way, Shepard didn't get the holding call against him that was obvious, and maybe that changes the game, whatever. But the bottom line is, on a day where early on especially, it didn't look like it could be going any worse for the Giants, there was Eli and Big Blue at the end of the game with a chance to win. If you were an Eagles fan watching that game, and for whatever reason, this win was important to you, especially since they don't have their draft pick, so losing doesn't really help their position in the draft, and Eagles fans want some momentum. Let's beat the Giants. Let's beat the Cowboys. So if this win was important to you as an Eagles fan, and I think it probably was, rivalry game, you had to be nervous at the end of that game. You had to be thinking, damn, Eli Manning with a chance to throw the Giants to the win right here. Now, he turned it over. That will happen when you're not afraid to lose, but it also gives you a chance to win. And were this a playoff game, I just had the feeling it would have gone differently. He rises to the occasion in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Max, but also you can look at it, this could have been a trap game for him. You know, Eli didn't play well against the Dallas Cowboys, where he could have thrown 3 interceptions in that particular game, too. So these last 5 games haven't been, quite as what Eli is used to or what he was expecting, especially trying to put your team in a playoff contention. One thing you have to understand as a football team, you have to go in with momentum. And the Giants really don't have momentum when it comes to the offensive side. Yeah, you take away the explosive play by Odell Beckham against the Dallas Cowboys, and what do? You see a methodical offense that's not very successful, moving the chains and being able to get in the end zone. And it really is a telling tale of what happened against the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, the Philadelphia Eagles, you can say whatever you want about them this year, but one thing you will know is they will fight, especially playing against the New York Giants, a rival game at home. They're going to truly respect their home territory. But it seemed to me like the Giants came in, thought it was going to be an easy game, and the Eagles were going to lay down.
Know,
Listen,
fly,
and what happened at the end,
a good friend of mine is an Eagles fan. I get the same text every damn time these two teams play. Why can't all our games be against the Giants? I mean, this is just some teams got other teams' numbers.
That should tell you something right there, Max. The Giants weren't ready to play. They all came in dressed in white like they were going to a puffy all-white party at the Hamptons.
What you know about the all-white party, Donovan?
Yeah, buddy. All right, my Christmas wish, Damon Harrison, Janoris Jenkins, get well soon. So with the Giants' loss, the Cowboys clinched the division and the 1 seed in the playoffs. So with nothing really to play for in their next 2 games, should they rest their stars like Dak and Zeke? That is the question, one Stephen A. Smith.
Well, I definitely think that they should. I think that they should because this is football. Football is a very physical and violent sport. I'm not sitting there and saying that you should give them no action and allow rust to enter the equation. But in terms of the frequent activity that obviously they've been accustomed to playing all season long, I don't think that's something that they should be subjected to in the sport of football now that they've clinched the division in the top seed. If you're going to have the top seed, all right, you're the number 1 seed, and obviously you've already clinched your division title as well. What the hell is there to play for? What you don't want to, I understand that they're rookies, particularly in the case of a Dak Prescott. And so you want those reps to be something that's there. But at the same time, what you don't want to do is sit there and expose somebody to unnecessary risk of injury, because this is a sport that is so violent that it's just unnecessary to do that. It has nothing to do with, there's no football reason that I would pick to rest these guys other than a concern for injury, because you've got other teams literally fighting for their lives trying to get to that postseason, trying to get that extra dough, trying to get that extra shine, et cetera, et cetera. So if you've already accomplished that goal in a sport as physical and as violent as football, you might need to protect yourself and risk a little rust coming into the equation just to preserve yourself to be 100% healthy. I'm not saying you don't play at all, but you do have to protect yourself.
This is not an easy question to answer because it presents itself at the end of every season in the NFL nowadays, and really always has. But especially,
there's nothing that's easy for you. Nothing.
Except for beating you in arguments. But especially since the Giants and the Coughlin season in 2007, where the Patriots were undefeated and the Giants had the playoff. They had a playoff berth wrapped up, and he decided to play the guys anyway. And I think that indicated something to people. At least it did to me since then. The Dallas Cowboys have been doing things a certain way all year. And except for 2 games against those Giants, they have always won. It's worked for them. And so while you're right, Stephen A., I'm not just brushing off the fact that this is a violent, full-contact sport where it's oftentimes foolish to play someone if you don't have to, because every play could be the last play of someone's career. That's the nature of the sport. Nevertheless, if you've been doing something a certain way and you've been achieving success all year, the last thing I would want as a Cowboys fan is for anything to change. I would want them to approach every single game the exact same way.
Donovan, before you speak, let me just remind you that that's the same thing Max Kellerman said to Bernard Hopkins before his last fight. Let's go on. Let's go on. Let's go on. Let's go.
Hey, he slipped. He slipped, Stephen A. He slipped and got pushed.
Don't make fun of Bernard Hopkins. He's great, even though you have a right to, more so than anybody else. But I'm going to come to my boys back here. Leave him alone, D. Leave him alone.
52 years old. What do you want from him?
Hey, man. You got to make a decision. But let me add to what you said now, Max. Back in 2004, when we went to the Super Bowl, we clinched, I believe we clinched by week 10, week 11. And what we did was we played, but we sat some players. Now, when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, in a sense, going into a game where they know they already have won the NFC East and they have home field advantage, I think the players that you decide to sit, is an Ezekiel Elliott and maybe a Tyron Smith. Now, for Dak Prescott, I think it's important for him to keep this momentum going and maybe play about 3 series in this particular game. Then you'll see Tony Romo. I think the smart thing for Jason Garrett is to understand what's ahead of him and knowing the age of these players. Now, we've seen Ezekiel Elliott and how many carries that he's had thus far at this particular point. It's important that he has an opportunity to give Darren McFadden some carries to kind of kick the rust off just in case you need that backup running back. And also for the offensive line to keep that cohesiveness and also that chemistry to continue to flow. The thing that I look at on the defensive end, who would you sit on defense? And to be honest with you, I wouldn't sit anybody. Maybe Sean Lee. Because I think defensively, they're going to get much more than they think they can handle going into the playoffs because Rob Marinelli does not blitz a lot. So you're going to keep playing these zone defenses and your defensive line and maybe bring in 2 from the weak, 2 from the strong just to try to apply pressure. And they haven't been that successful with it, with the blitz all season. Yeah, they've played well as far as in the zone and maybe getting rushed from their front 4. But can you do that versus a Green Bay? Can you do that maybe against, teams that continue to run the ball effectively and the play action game plays such a major part? But I think for Jason Garrett and the Dallas Cowboys, the way that you approach this thing is to continue to get the reps from Dak Prescott to keep his confidence going and keep that momentum going on offense and sit a guy like Ezekiel Elliott.
You know what the problem with that to me is, Donovan? That you have a first-round bye. Like, how you're going to have like a month between games at a certain point, and especially, I understand what you mean. Look, it's the running back. You got to get other guys involved. I'm not claiming it's so cut and dried. But I really think, especially because they're young players, especially because the margin of error in the NFL is really small, even for the good teams, because it's so physical, at the point of contact, at the line of scrimmage, because their success is based on that offensive line, and then what these special players behind that line, like Zeke and Dak, can do with that. I just wouldn't change anything. I mean, maybe you give a guy, you take him out for some downs. You're not gonna play them quite as much as you would in every other game. But I would still try to win the game to the best of my ability.
Absolutely.
I would still approach it the way they've approached every game this season because they've had so much success. You don't want to break that, particularly when you have a first round bye.
You're so Donovan. Did you hear the brilliance of Max Kellerman? You don't want to break that rhythm, break that.
Right.
You don't want to break anything. Go ahead and break your bones, though. It's okay.
Right,
It's okay.
yeah.
I mean, in Max's word, go ahead and break your wrist, break your elbow, break your neck, break your leg,
you gotta
crack
take
your
risks.
kneecap. Oh, go ahead. Don't worry about the rhythm. Worry about the
Right.
rhythm, Donovan.
Right.
Don't disrupt your flow, but go out there and break your bones. It's okay.
Right.
You got to
It's
take
okay
that
in the
risk.
world of Max
You got
Kellerman.
to take
It's all
that
right.
risk.
Bernard Hopkins, go out there and risk getting your jaw broke.
You got to
It's
bring
okay.
it to get it.
It's okay.
That's right. As James Toney said, you got to bring it to get it. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
if
got
you're
to
talking about middleweights.
But that's what I'm talking about, Max, and that's why I say it's important to start a guy like Dak Prescott. Maybe sit Tyron Smith and Jason Witten. Jason Witten, he deserves a rest. But I think in a sense, it's about chemistry and flow. And when you're going into the playoffs, if you have the momentum and you have that confidence going in, and no matter what situation that you may have been in, and they have been in a lot of great situations, 2-minute drill at the end, overtime wins. Dak Prescott has done a great job. And I've been hearing a lot of people, rumors on there on the outside, talking about that now all of a sudden Dak Prescott is a check down Charlie, and he's a guy you want to force to throw deep. Did they not see him in the preseason throwing the ball deep and completing the things that he can do with the deep ball? But the thing with me with the Dallas Cowboys is, can they keep this momentum going into the playoffs? And if they can do that and playing in that NFC Championship at home against maybe a team like the Seattle Seahawks, where offensively we're still trying to figure out if they can run the football and stay on the field during third down and converting those big third and longs, that's going to be a matchup you want to see.
I will say this. Donovan swayed me in this regard. You rest some of the guys on offense. You don't have to rest everybody. Some of those guys on defense need to be out there. First of all, their defense has gotten better and better. It needs to improve. And dare I bring this up, Donovan, everybody hasn't been eligible on Dallas's defense. So you got to get some guys up in
Why
there
is that,
to actually
Stephen A?
get some reps.
Why is that, Stephen A?
I mean, because they couldn't stay off the weed. And that's what really happens. And so we have to make sure that they come back in the mix, Max. They need the reps. They need to get out there. They don't need time to puff and pass. What they need to do is be out on the football field getting those reps in and all of that other stuff. So that's another reason that some of them do deserve to rest. Others need to get on the field and sort of get the chemistry going. You know what I'm saying?
We got it.
Not the chemicals going, the chemistry.
Yeah.
Not chemicals,
Real
chemistry. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I was just curious
That's all I'm
about
saying.
your opinion about this because you haven't gotten to weigh in. Lane Johnson turned out to be important, right?
Yeah, really
Guys,
important.
I just wanted to make sure.
Talked about it most of the
Did
broadcast.
you really bring that back up, Max?
I was just, I don't know. I was wanted to make sure Molly got to weigh in.
I saw it.
Yeah, I still don't feel it was as big of a deal as you say it is.
All right. You know what's going to be a big deal if Antonio Ramiro Romo shows up in the game? We will see if that happens.